In this week's offering, I am going to be cutting up the Bible into bits, literally into bits, to be able to look at it in a whole new and different way. Hi, Reverend Grace here. This is actually this Holy Bible belongs to, it's so cute. It's my confirmation Bible. Somebody in my family gave me this cute little book. It must be a King James version. Yes, it is King James version. And for some reason, I always imagine it to have silver around the edges. I don't know why. I don't think it ever has. Maybe I just wish. Anyway, and last year, I don't know if it was when I was in prayer or I'm driving along or whatever, I'm having a ponder about things, and the thought came to me about what I would learn from this book, these texts, if I was to separate them back into the books that they were originally just standalone. They weren't even books, they were just writings. Some of them were letters, some of them were prayers, you know, the Psalms. Yeah. Some of it I think is history. And I think that I've become a little bit just fascinated, I suppose. I did the 2-year ministry course. Only one semester of that was Judaism, and one was Christianity, and one was Islam. So there were quite a few weeks to look at these texts. And I realise now I'm trying to buy the Strong's version of Concordance, and I got sent this, which is not, but look, it does have the gold. And this is a holy matrimony. It's almost like my writing in my own Bible. Kenneth and Moira, they got married on the 11th of January 1956 in Aberdeen. This is a slightly older version. If it was 1956, it wouldn't be. It is modernised, I would imagine, to a degree, but not maybe in some of the ways some of the Bibles are now. I've got a pocket interlinear New Testament, so it means that, not that I'm able to read Greek or Hebrew. This is Greek to English. Oh, you need glasses to read that, literally. I've got your good old anglicised NRSV, New Revised Standard Version. My little King James. So this is the Bible. This again is a King James. It's in cute little, someone's wrapped it. Like we all used to do this in our school books. Does everyone remember this? Was it just our school? And you'd bring in your wrapping papers, and you would do all your textbooks at school. Anyway, this is the one that I've marked out in here where all the split of the books are. And what I realised is that I haven't, because some of the pages are like the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one share a page. So I've got another one to cut up to make up those pages for when I put it back into books. And literally just before recording this, I looked at this and I realised it just says the New Testament. So anywho, I have now got another paperback coming of the whole Bible to be able to use as my spare pages. And the sizes, I think the size of print is almost going to tally up. Might be a bit of a thing, making these pages fit with these pages. But anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then I've got like so much card to make a little book covering. I don't want to ruin these books. I want to make them into really nice, lovely books and have them as a collection, a set, not just to rip it up for my own interest and, trying to gain understanding and answer quite a few questions that I have. This came to me as a thing that I should do, like I should explore this. Kind of like, if you want to call it something, like a calling to do it. Not just me in my mind thinking like something else, saying, hey, how about this? I've had a few of these moments, but this is the one. that I'm going to embark on at the minute. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, but anyway, for some reason now it seems to be the right time. Although I am now waiting for the other bit so I can complete all of the books in the Old Testament. But I'm going to make a good start on the New Testament because I imagine this is going to take some time. In fact, this whole study is going to take some time. But I also have the rather chunky, weighty, A New Dictionary of Christian Theology. And more importantly, perhaps, I have the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths, G.A. Gaskell. Don't just tell you about it, show you it. And again, another like doorstop of a book, a classic reference guide to the sacred language of the religions of the world. So these two help with reference. My Strong's Concordance, which I will end up getting a copy. It should come. I've also ordered like a really modernised version, but that's disappeared in delivery as well. I've also got the Gnostic Gospels, Elaine Pagels, an amazing scholar in the Gnostic Gospels, and the Secret Sayings of Jesus according to the Gospel of Thomas. So that is one of the Gnostic Gospels. That is not included in the Bible, as is the Book of Mary, which we've got Mary Magdalene Revealed. Megan Waterson book, she strips right through, like stripping an engine down is the way she goes at it with that book. Very good. I've just seen this, the Lost Gospel. Oh yeah, the Book of Q and Christian Origins. I have started this. Oh, yeah, this is quite a scholarly, definitely a weighty thing. But anyway, these sort of books help with what I've already. So the thing is, one thing I realised, like I would say a good majority of us, but those specifically like myself who are doing this sort of study and trying to get to the root of questions and answers of life, why we're here and all that sort of thing, the Bible is, I don't think it's just because it's a Christian country, although I have growing up in a Christian faith, and in a culture that is based on Christianity, although that's debatable. People are trying to say, well, you know, at the minute there's a, oh no, it's not. And then there's the side that are like, oh yes, it is. Everything is the basis of Christianity. Even the people that are on the side of the, oh no, it's not. Yeah, they have Christian values, whether they can't help it. This is where we've been raised. Anyway, that's a whole nother side issue. I've studied so much and I've not really, and a lot of it to do with, in different various forms of lectures and talks and debates and presentations and stuff that I've watched, the Bible just keeps coming up or getting quoted, and some of it in really not your mainstream ways, that's for sure, which is fascinating. And I like to take, with everything, I like to take a really broad view. And so it's almost like I've been in training for this, kind of. We get to see that, but in the sense that I've done all this, I've got a lot of knowledge about the Bible and bits in it, historically and scholarly and all the debates, archaeologically and all that. But I haven't actually read the texts. Like there'll be bits in this Bible that I've probably never even seen other than maybe someone listing off, or maybe in my divinity class at school when I was little. The fact that it was called divinity class fascinated me. Divinity, there's something about, because it's divinity, divine, it's, a related word. When I was younger, I did struggle because, partly because I was dyslexic, had dyslexia or however you want to say it, and so the names and the things, it all seemed very remote from me, and it was hard to read, and the way that it was written in very old-fashioned language, which is very much probably what this Bible would be like, it was hard to understand. It's not modernised in a way, or it wasn't then when I was having readings in church or whatever blasted in front of me, and yeah, it felt all very long way away, and yet at Christmas and Easter it suddenly became a lot closer. But yeah, the thing is now, and there's so much, oh my god, there's so many people wading. I mean, I've been studying for 6-7 years now. That probably does warrant me in some way or merit me to be called a scholar, but not in the way that I'm a full academic. But because there's been so much presented in the oh god, they're just massive videos by fascinating people, and some of it conflicts and doesn't correspond because people have their own beliefs or their own things, but I always get a golden nugget out of each bit that I dip into. And yeah, that's given me such a broad range of knowledge. That is going to be the basis of what comes out of doing this and reading these individual books for me, I think. Now I'm doing this, I'm excited to be doing this. And it's going to take me blooming ages. Oh, and there's also something I should mention. Again, weirdly, my Talmud of Emmanuel copy has disappeared. If you don't know what the Talmud of Emmanuel is, basically Emmanuel is Jesus, Yeshua. This is actually a book, Celestial Teachings, by James W. Deardoff, who is he was a professor, or he had a PhD. He was dedicated for years in teaching at, I can't remember what university, but he was presented with the work of Billy Meyer. Billy Meyer came to be told about this text that was found. It was found in I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's found in a really interesting way. And it's basically could be the precursor to the book of Matthew. Along the way, so I'm going to, in terms of what books I read first, a lecture series, study series has been brought to me very recently by a young lady, I think she's German, on Instagram. I commented on Adrian Bliss's one of his things, and then just so funny about the nativity. He cracks me up. Anyway, this girl, she commented and said, oh, have you seen the work of Israel Anderson? So then I started watching things that she recommended to me. So namely the Human Contract, and the other one was Two Gardens, One Snake. See those rabbit holes it sends you down. So I was thinking, I was now imming and amming. I was going to start with the New Testament and start with the actual Gospels. But equally, I would pray on what I should read next as much as what I've read already. And some of these bits, I mean, apparently there are scholars that they literally spend their whole entire academic scholarly life focusing on one whole book, some on one chapter of a book. I've even heard that some, I don't know if they were joking or being a bit, what's the word? Exaggerating. Oh my word. So I don't know if they were exaggerating, but they literally just study one line. Anyway, let's get down to pulling it. We can chat whilst I'm savaging this Bible. So, the Protestant Bible has 66 books. So that's 39 in the Old Testament and 27 in the New Testament. The Catholic Bible has 73. They have 46 in the Old Testament, and they have 27, the same in the New Testament. The extras in the Catholic, Russell, I want to keep my nice sheep. Wow, it's been in a bookcase in a very light room, it's really faded. I want to keep my nice thing. They have Tobit, they have Judith, 1 and 2 Maccabees, Wisdom, Sirach, or is it Sirach? Sirach, I think, or Sirach, but I think it would be Sirach, and Baruch, and that collection of books is called the Apocrypha, or the Deuterocanonical. I think that's why they call it the Apocrypha. And then the Ethiopian Bible, that's a whopper. That's got 81 to 88. And the Greek from Russian Orthodox, their Bible has 76 to 81. So, yeah, they've all gone off on different things. The Greek Orthodox has the Maccabees, but also 1 Esdras, Prayer of Manasseh, and Psalm 151. The Ethiopian has Enoch, as well as that's Tobit and Judith, and the Maccabees. But it also has, what did they have? They've got the book of the son of Joshua of Sirach, which is the same Sirach. In the New Testament, they've got the Book of the Covenant, the Didache, and 8 books specific to sacred texts of the Ethiopian Church, which has arguably, they've definitely got the oldest Bible at the minute, oldest copy of the oldest Bible probably. Amazing, beautiful book theirs is. Wow, it is amazing, really bright. And their churches are something else, like full on colour. They're amazing. And our churches used to be painted like that. Apparently, there was and there's a I'll put the screenshot up. There were restorers doing work on the front of Wells Cathedral, and they during their work they found that there'd been paint on there, and so then they computer generated what Wells Cathedral would have looked like. Look at this, it's amazing. So it does feel slightly weird cutting into a Bible now that I'm actually doing it, but oh my word, I'm going to have to put the thing there because I'm going to keep doing that. Actually, something that Israel Anderson has said recently, or I've learnt from him. He was a pastor for 40 years before he was doing what he does now, which is a kind of ministry. He's going right through the Bible and really looks at what it really says, and also compares that to knowledge that he has from study that he's done in ancient history and myth and legend and archaeology. And I see it's all like taped to the back, so I just need to get that bit of the back. Okay, let's go from here then. And he gets really cross. He says not many things offend him, but the one thing that really gets him, and he thinks it's really it is an offence, is that in certain schools of Christianity today, many of them I would imagine, of which there are 40,000 or something now. Hopefully this isn't the video where you see me stab myself in the stomach. Anyway, and he says, they will absolutely believe and state to you that he gets absolutely infuriated and upset, actually, genuinely upset, I would say, that the hard-earned, much sacrificed name title that has been given to a man as special as Yeshua, as Jesus Christ, is then put to a thing, an object. And actually that brings you back in two things. Number one, that this is not the word of God. So as much as people might want to rant and rave about that, the way Israel Anderson explains it is, it's interesting. But also it makes me think now that this is actually, it brings it back to this just being an object. It is an incredibly important object. And that is why so many people study it. And that is why I now want to study it more. And really closely. Like, really get into it. With my knowledge and with my reference documents and with my other voices. I mean, good grief, there's a plethora of books up here that are probably going to be involved in doing this study. But the other thing about this is that, for me, is that I am dyslexic. And when I was at school, when nobody knew I was dyslexic, when I was at that school, we used to have to go to the library and we had to sit and read however many times a week with our English teacher. And I used to sit there and I cottoned on that as long as I looked like I was reading, and the best way to look like I was reading was copy my friends when they turned a page. And that's what I did. And then there were some books, Roald Dahl, I managed to get, I mean, literally, I for a long time, still now actually, I haven't read that many books cover to cover. There's a couple I've read twice because I've had to, but that's more recently. So doing this, I mean, look, I've gone from this being a part of this. I mean, the words are like, the letters really small, so the words are, there's loads of them. Trying to think that I'm going to get through all of this, however interested I am. Oh, no way. Now this is much more manageable. I'm really going to be able to dig into this. I'm really going to have to wear my glasses as well. Wow. But that's fine. Actually, now this is feeling a lot lighter. Because I'm really going to be able to, I mean, I hope I can go the distance in really, you know, not, I'm committed to do it, but, you know, this is going to be such a prolonged thing. I don't know whether this is like something I'm going to have to do a bit of daily or weekly. I mean, you know, life's busy, isn't it? And I do, at the moment, have an employed job and a self-employed job. Oh, I don't know. Does it matter which way I pile them? Yes, it does actually. Yeah, it just could take a really long time. Just doing this is taking a really long time. But this is feeling lighter. This is feeling more manageable in the physical sense of not feeling so daunted. Of not feeling like this is a really epic task. Makes me think of that thing, what was it, like some Indian prince, king or wise sage or something said, and he said, how do you eat an elephant? And he said, in chunks. Yeah, this is bite-sized chunks. It seems like a meditation. I mean, I'm not even reading this text yet, but I am already in a meditative state, just doing this repetitive action of trying as carefully as possible. Book of Ruth. is not one I think I've ever heard read out or referenced, or anyone do it. Well, you won't if it's not one of the readings that goes into the rolling timetable of year A, B or C in the Church of England, then no, unless you're reading the Bible, you're not going to hear about the Book of Ruth, so you're definitely not going to hear a sermon about it, because it won't be in the A, B or C. I might be wrong, but I don't ever remember Ruth being mentioned. So Ruth, I look forward to reading your book. Oh, well, look at that. Ruth's book, this could be quality, not quantity, because it's certainly not quantity. She gets half a page, bless her. Now, what? She gets half a page. In one sense, it's like, what happened to the rest of the book? When I read this, is it going to be a complete book? Who is it going to be referring to? This is the thing in all these books. I really want to just drill down into what am I reading here? What am I actually reading here? And I might even have to like literally visually draw it out, like who are the characters in this scene? What's he doing to him and him doing to them? What's the result of that? To literally break it down. I'm not a simpleton by any means, but there are certain ways that my brain works. And certainly just reading through this and having a little think about it, I don't think that's always going to work for me. But this, so where's the rest of the book? Is when I read this, is it going to be that is all that was needed to be said? That was all that was written of any importance by Ruth? Well, it was important enough to include it in here. And there are other Gospels that were not included. So interesting. Oh no, actually, here we are. Oh dear, I've said all of that, and actually, there was another page. It's still only 4 chapters. Well, Ruth, I look forward to reading your 4 chapters. Your succinct book is going to be a joy. Maybe I should start with Ruth's book first. Lovely. There's literally going to be new revelations in this Bible just from the point of view of be like, wow, I never even heard that. And so you think that you're a Christian, or you think that you're a Catholic, or you think that you're a Methodist or whatever. I don't know. I would imagine by practicality, if you think about it, that this book is this massive. And I suppose, yeah, you could roll it round in years A, B and C. But I bet there are still bits in the Catholic Church and the like day-to-day services and in the Methodists and that there's bits of the Bible that they do not look at. But in a practical sense, you know, you can't, because the other thing about it is, yeah, it's the snippets. So in church, they just take snippets and they're doing 3 readings, say, in a Holy Communion service. So an Old, a New Testament and a Gospel. And so generally that'll be like a, you know, letters from Paul will be the New Testament, Corinthians or something like that. And the Old Testament will be whatever. And then the Gospel obviously is Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. But as we know, there's the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Peter. And, yeah, all kinds of Gospels. Right, Kings. And so in church, they have to break it down into bite-sized chunks. And obviously that still has to be reduced further to, you know, little snippets. They're not going to read the whole chapter of a book when they're trying to do 3 readings and the communion and the hymn singing and everything else. then, you know, it's going to be a snippet of a snippet. So you don't get the flow, you don't get the context that really is necessary. It's another thing that I just kind of think that someone like Alan Watts has said similar before. If you haven't experienced Alan Watts, you want to look up Alan Watts. Anyway, this is what Anderson says, that, you know, you can take just the right snippets out of this book, the Bible, to start any cult, any religious cult. And that is basically what's happened along the way. Book of Ezra, you see, now here we go, Book of Ezra. Oh, what is that? There's a whole, like, this is, now these are the children of the province that went up out of captivity, of those which have been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon had carried away into Babylon, and came again unto Jerusalem and Judah, every one unto his city, which came with Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah. So, oh my word, gonna struggle with that one. But for starters, they've got it written like with gaps. I know that's to say the sounds, but that's already like a struggle to read it with the gaps in between the sounds of each of those names. But I'm not doing it as a racing pace here, I'm doing it at my pace. And it's the only way I'm going to really get to grips with all of this. Now, if anybody else fancies doing this along with me, and that becomes a bit of a thing, we'll have to start like a bit of a group chat somewhere. That would be pretty cool. Maybe it's just enough that I'm doing it, actually. Maybe there's enough desecrating of a Bible to be going on with here. Oh. But it brings me back again. Esther. Good Book of Esther. How many pages do you get, Esther? Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. Yeah. 5 and a third you get. Yeah, so I keep coming back to this being, you know, this was all separate books, all separate writings, separate texts. When these people wrote these books, whether they're called Ruth and Esther and Nehemiah and whatever, I mean, Exodus is called Exodus. That's obviously not the name of somebody, because that's, you know, the Torah part. It's the original Hebrew texts, which again, I always wondered, how come, yikes, how come the new church went to continue using a previous religion's Bible, effectively, their sacred texts. Maybe that's something. I have watched something recently or since that then explains the answer to me, but again, I'm going to be making my own evaluation on that. When I've separated these out, I'm still going to know what's New and Old Testament, but at the same time, is that the end of Esther? Yes. At the same time, it's going to be taking each book on its own thing, as a book, from my own understanding of reading this, I want to know things like, what is original sin? Is that a Christian construct? Or is that really what something says? What seems to be the word of God? And what could be what Paul Wallace talks about as the Sky Council, Israel Anderson also, Mauro Baglino also, I think probably Alan Watts as well, certainly Bill Donahue or William Donahue, if you're looking at his, it's either his channel or someone else's put his work up. I love a bit of crafting, and I am looking forward. Oh, sorry. It'd be better to do it like this. No, it would not. When it's only one. Oh my word. Oh, and on Isaiah as well. The first page of Isaiah. Oh, really making a mess of this. Oh dear. I am not a book restorer, am I? And there's me just about to say I love doing craft projects and I can't wait to make these into lovely little books. I want to look at some set questions, especially when I'm going through the Gospels. In terms of the Torah, the Septuagint, Old Testament end of it, I really want to look at what seems to be historical account. Whether, oh, Lamentations, it's a short one, I'm going to have to be careful here. Oh, it's just going to come out, don't trust that. Oh, darn it. Could all those first books be written by Moses? Scholars already said it can't be, because at the end of the actual book of, one of the books, it's describing Moses' death. Well, he can't be very well writing about his own death, can he? So it would appear unlikely. I suppose you're hard and fast will say, well, he wrote the rest of it, and someone close to him, his circle. Oh my word, maybe I should just cut from this side. No, that's just completely, what's it with that? That's annoying. Never mind, we'll make you good, don't you worry. And then bringing in some of the information that and theories and understandings that people like Bill Donahue and Billy Meyer and Paul Wallace, in fact all the people that I've just mentioned, and the work of I was going to say Greg Davis. He's a comedian, not Greg Davis. Oh my word, you know me and names if you've watched enough of my videos. Who am I thinking of? Well, Anton Parks, for one. Interesting French man. Greg Braden. Did I already say Greg Braden? Father Sean O'Leary. Something like that. Oh. John St. Julian Babayama. They're all people that have been looking at the texts in a different way. And back in the day, and actually he died last year, I think, or recently, Eric von Daniken. He wrote Chariots of the Gods. Again, sorry Eric, not read your book, but I've always made sure I've got it on my shelf for the day that I do get to read it. But he basically, him and von Daniken, oh, there's the other one. The guy who, Oh, it's not Strickland. Oh, God, what's his name? He studied the Anunnaki texts. Oh, I'll have to put his name on the thing as usual. The talk of us being created by the Anunnaki, this being written in Sumerian texts, and alluded to or written actually right there in the Bible about the intervention from beings off of this planet, Sky Council or otherwise. And when you think about all our films about aliens and off planet, this, that and the other, you know, we always think it's a bit, oh, that was very easy. Thank you, Hosea. It's very easy to go, oh, that's absolute rubbish. People think you're a complete crank. Oh my word, Joel only gets 3 pages. Joel must have said something really important and noteworthy, because it's in this Bible. I don't hear Joel or Amos quoted very much. I will be especially, oh my good grief. I've drifted off from my thought now. Yeah, there are books here that I mean, Obadiah gets 1/3 of a page. That has got to be the shortest chapter. Right, Amos, I'm going to take you as a single page, and Obadiah as a single page, so we don't lose him into another book. He's going to be the thinnest book ever. Wow. Obadiah. The vision of Obadiah. Oh, so this must be the books of the prophets. Yeah, because Hosea is a prophet, I think, a book of prophet. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. It's literally E''dum. In my studies, I'm going to have to look up that. We heard a rumour from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? This was another of my questions, is that in the New Testament, when Jesus is speaking to groups of people, he does parables. And I'm wondering, am I going to see parables in the Old Testament in the same way? Oh, we're nearly at the end. I want to have a look a bit more about what happened with these 12 tribes of Judah, and look at things that I've heard about the 10 tribes scattering and 2 remaining. And the links then to the earliest in Christianity, in a sense, the Druids, because I have read some books that they basically point to potentially Great Britain, being the Britain, but it is great, actually. It's the great version, because it's really, because this is going back to Celtic times, it's encompassing all of the nations: Scotland, Isle of Man, Ireland, Wales, and Britain. Not all of Scotland, but a chunk of it, a lower chunk of it, and Northumbria was a big one back then. But these Druids, Britain is the new covenant, the land of the new covenant, and anywho, Britain being the new land of the land of the new covenant, and the covenant people, and how through genealogy it's been traced up through that. So it's looking basically at a theory of these books are getting thinner now. This being the promised land, because God gave them the promised land and then it was taken away from them. But there was to be another promised land, a new promised land. So it's a bit of also delving into who were those Druids? Were they part of the ancestors of those, or part of those old 12 tribes, the 10 that dispersed? And then it's interesting about when Christianity did come into the Celtic nations, because Joseph of Arimathea with the Bethany family that got the boat over, whether they were set off, I think they when the boat didn't have any oars and any sails. That doesn't sound like a tin merchant who's got a sailing fleet of ships for his tin business, making a wise decision and preparing quite fully for his journey. That sounds like people that the Romans or the Sadducees wanted to get rid of, and they're cast off in a boat thinking that they're all going to drown and it's going to be terrible. But in actual fact, they float into France, they go up through France. It seems to be so much about Mary Magdalene there that she stayed there. Whether she travelled up and came back down, don't know. But anyway, Joseph of Arimathea and the rest of them, they went on to Glastonbury, which is where they ended up. And that is where the followers of the Way first started disseminating their message up through France and to here. And yeah, that's it's turned into Christianity because of what was still going on down this end. But here we are. In another way, if it hadn't turned into Christianity, would I be sitting here cutting up this Bible now? I think probably yes. Because the Bible, if this really is, taking aside that people think this is that God's absolute word, he dictated every bit. He just can't have done it. It's so human. This book itself is put together by a bunch of humans in the 4th century, in the latter part of the 4th century, to do with the Roman Empire that was declining. And that's, it's no coincidence that the decline of the Roman Empire coincides with the rise of the Roman Catholic Church and the power and the wealth and the everything that wielded and afforded those people. But it's kind of like people would say that Jesus, the man and the story and the purpose and everything, was hijacked, and out of that has come Protestantism, people protesting. Others would argue it's not really protesting, it's some would have it they were returning back to the church that was originally in England in Celtic times. Anyway, that's there's so much wrapped up in this. So this whole thing about the aliens and off-planetary beings and people looking into, even when Genesis was a separate thing, what is the source material for that? Where is the source of that creation story? And the interesting relationships and similarities with other creation stories around the world. Definitely not what you're taught in your Sunday school typical sort of a thing. So yeah, I've been soaking up so much study, and now this really feels like the time to actually apply it in an active way. Something else crossed my mind. Would I be doing this to the Quran? I have my copy of the Quran. They like it up on the top of the all other books. That's debatable whether it's going to stay there with the things that I've been learning. But again, you've got to read it for yourself. Well, yeah. Again, during the Islam study, did a very small amount to really grasp it. But if I'm to rely on things that I have learned recently about people that have studied it, and also the history of the whole situation of Muhammad, their first, well, no, that's not their first prophet, because they actually, the way Muhammad went at it, trying to get followers, is he went, I think did he start off in Medina or Mecca? I think it was Medina, was it? And then at some point he went to Jerusalem, and he was trying to get more followers by converting the Jews. So he basically collaged in a whole chunk of their Torah, and it's described in a way of like, oh, you know, him saying, look, I'm so similar to all of you, and you can read this, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he ended up going back to Mecca. But there's some interesting bits about that no doubt will come up as and when I'm ready to crack on with these videos. But no, I'm not familiar enough, nor do I have the calling or the burning desire right now to, or the need actually as well, to really get into looking at the Quran in any way, shape or form. That's either going to become a calling or it isn't. But that is very much where in my time of contemplative prayer, that's not usually when any answers come. Oh, actually no, that's not true actually. I've had some clear messages, very clear messages in times of contemplative prayer, just sitting in silence and opening up a time in my day to be with God. And if God's got anything to say to me, then that's a good time to start that channel of communication. But sometimes, yeah, it is just an exercise. But anyway, I'm waffling. What I found is having a contemplative, or following a contemplative prayer practice. So many benefits to that. So many. In a physical, spiritual, health, all kinds of ways. Emotional, sort of everything really. I can highly recommend it, and I think in that spiritual practice, in time of prayer, I feel I'm going to be guided through this long distance cross country run of working through these books, and I'm very nearly at the end now, and of course these are the letters of Paul. Something I found surprising is that Paul's writings are quite a sizable chunk. I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised really, because they were definitely put in by Paul, and I've also heard that Paul has parts of it have been changed, tweaked for the benefit of the narrative of the Catholic Church. I guess it happened at the time of the Catholics. I guess it was them that did it. Another thing that and also about scholars who say some bits aren't written by Paul. Well, if they're not written by Paul, who are they written by? Does that really matter? What do they say? Will it be obvious to me that I will see style changes in some texts? Would I have to get to know these a lot more, heck of a lot more, to be able to notice that, or just be a scholar to be able to notice that sort of a thing? There's a screamingly obvious one between the creation story between Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 3. It changes just in the first few lines of chapter 3, which is an odd one. But yeah, Paul, who wasn't one of the disciples, and yet he gets a main billing in the New Testament. Oh, there's a little dictionary at the back. Oh, we'll have to keep that and make that into a nice book as well. Cool. Right, Revelation, here we go. Going back to the whether I would do this to the Quran, of course these days that's probably as good as putting yourself on a hit list. I would imagine they're very protective of their text. Say that, I'd probably be on the hit list of someone in South America Bible Belt who'd absolutely freak. But this is a book. And in here might be some of God's words. And I'm pointing at the New Testament there because if Jesus is God, then, you know, these are words from him. They even put them in red. God love them. Thank you. That makes that a lot easier as well. Another one is, does it say anywhere about God's master plan? Is that just something that they say in church? They also say, great is the mystery of faith. Well, I really get that. And the one thing, actually, I think what I might do is just cut this off and make it into a thinner thing. One thing that it really has been, words that have been coming up for me a lot, is the living word, the Bible being the living word. And now that's either some, oh, I know what I can do, I need to keep that, some wildly incorrect church dogma, or actually it's something more, because let's put that up. Because what I find is it really applies today, in the sense that when I am in a church and somebody's reading out a snippet of a thing, or I'm in a contemplative prayer group and we're reading a book together with that, and somebody always gets a different snippet out of something, or a bit of that, a few words of that apply to you, and they do when they're read out. You're not listening to the rest of it, and your brain is then on. Certainly this happens to me sometimes. You've seen or you've read or you've heard those words in a new way, or they didn't stand out to you before, another part did. It's like it's actually, you know, like what you need to hear right now, or what you need to work on understanding, or something like that. I led a service of worship last Sunday, and I usually just do the little 8:30 ones, and I did a 10:30 one, the big old bells and whistles job. So I had to read out a homily that was given to me, and then that was only 5 minutes, so I did a bit of a reflection on that from my own experience, because I'm not allowed to give sermons, because I'm not licensed. But anyway, things that I said in there reduced a man to tears. Because my understanding of something that I have learnt about from the writings and teachings of Jesus and the Bible as it is, as I understand it, blah, blah, blah. I said a thing there from my experience and from my understanding, and it resonated with him so much. Yeah, it really made him cry. So I just think the Bible is a living word. It's not a book. It is a book because the Bible's been made into a book, but here we are. Here's all the books separated out. I guess I should be getting an Apocrypha and an Ethiopian Bible. As and when money allows, I will be looking at that. I want to start looking at those different biblical texts. I spent some time in Ethiopia, was it last year or the year before? Must have been the year before. Wow. Amazing. Anyway, now I'm going to put lovely covers around these books and wait for my Older Testament to arrive, and then start ploughing through. All the videos are not going to be like, I want to do some more Divine Feminine discussions. God, I watched one last night. Oh my word. Did I even let the woman... It's lucky it's called a discussion and not a interview, because if it was an interview, I used the worst interviewing skills ever. I was literally waffling on like I'm doing right now. Enough's enough. Yeah, I look forward to playing through this and sharing it with you as and when those videos get made. And in the meantime, there will be lots of other of all sorts. Peace be with you. Thank you so much for watching, and do please hit that like button. It takes a second, and the subscribing and all that. It just means that YouTube go, this load is worth watching, or makes it relatable to other things that you watch, the other things that they want, and it spreads it out, which is hopefully messages and good offerings that need to be put out into the world. I pray on this, and I just trust that I'm sent to... Here I am, fulfilling my purpose, or part of my purpose, sent to put this out into the world right now for you. Take good care.